22 games in, and Arsenal sit top of the league. 15 wins, only 2 defeats, and a points total that has the word champions written all over it by almost every single metric. Arsenal are the team to beat in the 25-26 season. After finishing as runners-up for 3 straight years, the question isn't can they challenge anymore, it's much bigger. Can they finally finish the job? The stats look incredible. The attack is scoring for fun. The defence is the tightest in the league. And some are saying the team has finally evolved into a title-winning machine.
The numbers don't just look good, they look historic. This is, hands down, one of the most statistically dominant Arsenal sides of the last 2 decades. We're talking about elite chance creation, a defensive wall that's the envy of Europe, and a points per game pace that puts them in the legendary company. This isn't just a purple patch, it's a new standard. This isn't temporary. The data proves it's built to last.
I've seen this movie before though, Rich. We all have. The numbers look good. They look good in other years too. Right before the pressure kicks in and the wheels came flying off. The same data that screams champions in January can end up whispering collapse by March. And if you look closer, those same stats show the cracks. The ghosts of drop points. The late game nerves are still there. And I'm here to tell you that why this beautiful story is heading for a familiar, heartbreaking ending. 2 experts looking at the same data with 2 totally different conclusions. Is this the year Arsenal's numbers finally add up to a title? Or is it history going to be repeating itself? We're going to break down the attack, the defence, the intangibles, to find out is Statman Rich's data dripped of optimism, or is it something to do with Des the Wise's sceptical realism? Let's get into it. All right, let's start at the sharp end of the pitch. 40 goals in 22 matches, an average of nearly 2 goals a game. On paper, it's an attack that's absolutely firing. Rich, you're the optimist. Lay it on us why this attack's not just good, but built to last.
Happy to, because good doesn't even begin to cover it. This isn't just about the 40 goals, it's about the process. This isn't a team hitting wonder strikes and hoping for a moment of magic. This is a machine. Let's start simple. Arsenal have taken 212 shots and 106 of them have been on target. That's a 50% accuracy rate. Incredible. Let's go deeper to the metric everyone loves to argue about. Expected goals, or XG. Arsenal's XG for the season is 37.7. We scored 40. That's a slight overperformance of about 3 goals. Now, a skeptic like Des hears that and immediately screams, they're going to regress. We'll say it's not sustainable, but they're missing the whole point. Elite teams with world-class finishers, always overperform their XG. That's the definition of clinical finishing. It means our players are turning good chances into goals at a rate better than your average player. You just have to look at the masterclass against United, where our attack just tore their defence apart. Those aren't flukes. They're moments of quality this team delivers. And look at where and how we're scoring. This isn't a one-trick pony. We have an incredible 18.9% shot-to-goal conversion rate, which tells you everything about the quality of chances we create. And at home, it's staggering. At the Emirates, that number jumps to 2.4 goals per game. That's fortress level dominance. It's not just scoring, it's systematically taking teams apart, especially at home, in a way that's repeatable and terrifying for anyone who visits. The high shot volume isn't weakness, it's a strategy. You suffocate the other team until they break. This isn't luck, it's by design.
A powerful case, Rich. Overperforming XG is a sign of quality, not luck.
Des, You're looking at the exact same numbers. What are you seeing?
I see a house of cards built on a foundation of what ifs. Rich calls the XG overperforming slight. I call it a warning sign. Overperforming by nearly 3 goals in just 22 games is a big deal systematically. Decades of football data show us that almost every team reverts to an average over a 38 game season. For every one team that keeps up that elite finishing, 10 others hit a dry spell where every shot hits the post or lands in the keeper's gloves, which we know can happen. We're calling our finishing elite, but right now we're just on the right side of luck. That can change in a single weekend. He celebrates the 212 shots, but I find that number worrying. It tells me we need a lot of chances to score. What happens when we play a top tier defensive team away from home in a massive game? That's a good question. We're not going to get a dozen shots like we do against a mid table team at the Emirates. The volume will dry up, and if the attack is built on volume, the goals will dry up right with it. Which brings me to the home and away gap. Rich calls the Emirates a fortress, and he's right. Scoring all those goals at home is magnificent, but titles aren't won at home. They're won on cold, rainy nights in tough grounds. The overall goal average is 1.82, which means our away average is much, much lower. The points to a team that's a bully when it's comfortable, but maybe a bit fragile when it's taken out of the comfort zone. And finally, those 5 draws, 15 wins is great, but 5 draws means that in more than 20% of our games, this unstoppable attack couldn't find a winner. If we're so clinical, why did we walk away with just 1 point 5 different times? To me, that doesn't show a sustainable machine. It shows a team that has no plan B when plan A doesn't work. The numbers don't lie, Rich, but they tell a different story depending on where you look.
You're falling into that classic pessimist trap, Des. You will see 5 draws and call them 5 failures. I see 5 matches where we didn't lose, banking crucial points. You see XG over performance as a cliff we're about to fall off. I see it as a proof that the coaching and recruitment has turned our forwards into finishers who are simply better than average. It's not luck, it's talent. Every great title winning side overperformed their XG. It makes them great. And you say there is no plan B. The evidence says otherwise, the opposite. The goals are coming from everywhere, open play, set pieces, where we still a huge threat, and from different players every week. It's not one guy carrying the load. When one forward has a quiet day, another one steps up. But that's not a fragile system. That's a deep, versatile attack. The draws aren't a weakness. They're a sign of the resilience we were missing in past seasons, where one of those draws could have easily turned into a loss.
Resilience is a nice word, Rich, but the league table doesn't give you points for trying hard. It gives you them for wins. And those 5 draws are 10 points dropped. 10 points dropped that could be the difference between lifting a trophy and another year of asking what if. You call it versatility. I see a team that depends on certain patterns of play that every top coach will have spent the winter break figuring out how to stop. The second half of the season is a different animal. Teams have studied you. That slight overperformance, that resilience on home form, those frustrating draws, they aren't just numbers, they're symptoms of a problem that the pressure of the title run is going to expose.
Could you go and get some cheese, please?
Let's flip to another end of the pitch, where the story seems even more one-sided. Just 14 goals conceded in 22 matches. That is a jaw-dropping average, and it's by far the best in the Premier League. Rich, this seems like an open and shut case. Is this the best Arsenal defence of the modern era?
It's not even a debate. This defence is the foundation This title charge is built on, and it's what makes this year different. Des, 14 goals conceded is frankly absurd. It's a number you'd expect from a classic Italian champion. But again, look at the process. This isn't happening because our keeper is making a dozen unbelievable saves every match. It's happening because the opposition is barely getting a sniff. The underlying numbers are just as dominant. We've racked up 147 interceptions, 56 blocks, and a massive 469 clearances. These aren't just passive stats. They paint a picture of a proactive, aggressive defence snuffing out attacks before they even start. The interceptions show our players are reading the game at an elite level. The clearances show a no-nonsense attitude. When the ball gets near a goal, there's no panic, just clear it. And we have to talk about the clean sheets. That run of 8 straight clean sheets across all competitions earlier in the season wasn't a fluke. It was a demonstration of this team's defensive power. It showed a level of focus and systematic strength we haven't seen in years. This isn't new either. It's an evolution. We also had the league's best defence in 24-25. What we're seeing now is that system being perfected. It's built on a high press, a compact shape, and the incredible recovery speed of our defenders. So when you ask if this form is sustainable, the defence is your answer. A resounding yes. An attack can run hot and cold. I'll give you that. A defence this good is constant. It travels, it wins you points on your off days, and it wins you championships. Hard to argue with 14 goals conceded. Des, it feels like you've got your work cut out for you. How can you possibly see a negative in this defensive record?
You're just throwing numbers at me though, Rich. You don't. You put it in context. 14 goals conceded is a phenomenal record. I'll absolutely give you that. But sustainability isn't about what you've done. It's about what you're going to do. My job is to look for the warning signs, no matter how faint they are. First, let's talk about the schedule. Have we really been tested yet? How many of Europe's elite attacking teams have we faced away from home? A kind run of fixtures can make any defence look like world-class beaters. The real test comes in the spring when you're playing desperate teams fighting relegation and title rivals in back-to-back away games. It's crazy. Second, we're not invincible. We've lost 2 games. The defence was breached then. And more telling, let's look at the ghosts of seasons past that Rich is so quick to forget. In the 24-25 season, we dropped 21 points. That's a lot of points. Winning positions. 21 points of deep-seated fragility. The pressure is on. I have to bring up the Buendia goal that ended our 18-match unbeaten run. Do you remember that, Rich? A late injury time winner. A dagger to the heart. That one moment is a flashback to all the times this club has snatched a draw or a loss from the draws of victory. Has that mentality truly gone away? One late goal might suggest otherwise. It just plants that little seed of doubt. Rich celebrates the system, but a system is only as good as the players running it, especially when they're tired. This high-pressure, high-energy defence demands unbelievable physical effort. We're still in the Premier League, the Champions League, the FA Cup. Can the starting 11 keep up the intensity for another 4 months, or will the press get a fraction slower? Will the recovery runs become a yard shorter? These are all questions we have to ask, because a yard is all it takes in this level. That's when the system that looks impenetrable suddenly becomes vulnerable. So yes, the numbers are fantastic, but they're in the past. I'm worried about a future filled with fixture congestion, immense pressure, and the psychological scars of the past failures, Rich.
The ghost of seasons past argument is the last refuge for a sceptic with no current data, Des. Dropping points last season is irrelevant. This is a different group, a year older, a year wiser, and with another year of Arteta's philosophy burned into them. You bring up Daya's goal as a sign of fragility. I see it as a fluke that broke an 18-match unbeaten streak. 18 matches. That's half a season of being invincible. If one late goal is the only crack you can find, then this foundation is made of solid granite, Des. The fatigue argument also is as old as time, and people use it against every successful team. The great ones manage it. That's where squad depth comes in, but the defensive system isn't just the back four, it's the whole team. It's about controlling the ball, which is the best way to defend. Our ability to dictate the tempo protects the back line from being overworked. You're waiting for a collapse, but the data shows no sign of running. You're looking for ghosts in a machine that's just running smoother than ever.
I'm not waiting for it, Rich. I'm anticipating it as a real possibility based on history. To just dismiss last season's drop points as irrelevant is naive. It speaks to a mentality in the dressing room when the pressure is on. Has it been fixed? Maybe. But it hasn't been properly tested. Not in the fire of real down to the wire title race. January form is one thing. May form, when your legs are heavy and the weight of expectation is crushing you, is something else, Rich. The numbers are beautiful. They're a snapshot. The season is a marathon, and we've seen Arsenal stumble within sight of the finish line too many times to just ignore the past. Would you not agree? That's not pessimism, Rich. That's experience. We've done the attack and the defence. Now let's talk about the intangibles, the things that don't show up on a stat sheet, but so often decide the title race. Mentality, squad depth, and sheer pressure of it all. Rich, you believe this team is different from the Arsenal sides we have faltered. Why?
Because they've been forged in the very fire that you Des keep talking about. This isn't a team of kids in their first title race. This is a team that has finished second for 3 consecutive seasons. That's not a record of failure. It's a record of sustained excellence and priceless experience and consistency. They know what the running feels like. They know the pain of feeling short. That shared experience builds a powerful, resilient mentality. The brittle Arsenal narrative is just lazy and outdated. Look at the evidence. The squad has had key players out and the form didn't drop. That points directly to squad depth, which has been our Achilles heel before. It's not just about having bodies. It's about having quality players in reserve who can come in and maintain the team's structure and performance. The seamless way a huge talent like Max Dowman has been integrated. Even at his age isn't a sign of desperation. It's a sign that the club system is so strong that even a teenager can fit in. It speaks to the health of the whole club. And then there's the Champions League. Some people see a deep run as a drain on resources. I see it as proof of concept. To go through a Champions League group stage with a perfect win record of 7 wins, 0 losses is a massive statement. It shows this squad has the depth, the tactical smarts, and the winning mentality to fight on all fronts. It builds a habit of winning. This team doesn't just hope to win anymore, they expect to. They've earned that over 3 years at the top. This isn't the beginning of the story, it's the climax. Forged in the fires of past disappointments, a powerful story. Des, you've seen an Arsenal teams with experience and depth fall short before. What makes you think this time ends in the same old heartache?
Because experience in finishing second is not the same as experience in becoming a champion. It's a totally different kind of pressure. The weight of being the front runner is so much heavier than the freedom of being the challenger. Every single week, there's a target on your back. Every draw feels like a loss. Every mistake gets magnified. Rich sees 3 years of finishing second as a learning curve. I see it as 3 years of proving that when it mattered most, they couldn't get over the final hurdle. That creates a scar tissue, not armour. He talks about squad depth. I see a team that is still dangerously reliant on a core group of 14 to 15 players. Yes, they've handled injuries, but they've faced a real crisis. What happens if two of our starting defenders are out for a month? What if our main striker hits a 2-month goal drought? That has also happened for Gyökeres in a funny kind of way. The depth is better. I'll give him that. But it's truly title winning. Is it truly title winning depth? I'm not convinced. Bringing a 15-year-old, no matter how talented, is a great story, but it's not a strategy for winning the league. It suggests we're one or two key injuries away from a big problem. But my biggest worry is the pressure of history. This is Arsenal Football Club. For 20 years, we have been the nearly men. That weighs on the fans, but it also weighs on the players and the club itself. As that finish line gets closer, the weight gets heavier. The media narrative will build, as it always does. Every drop point will be framed as here we go again, the collapse begins. We've heard it all before. Can this group of players who have only known what it's like to fall short in the league be the ones to finally break that cycle? I hope so. Or will they, like all the others before them, choke under the suffocating pressure of the Arsenal shirt in April and May? I've seen this movie too many times, Rich. And while I'm desperately hoping for a different ending, experience tells me to prepare for a sequel.
You're stuck in the past, Des. You're analysing the club's history instead of this team's data. This team has consistently proved it isn't fragile. You talk about scar tissue. What about hunger? What about the burning desire to right the wrongs of the past 3 years? That's a much more powerful motivator than the pressure of a shirt. The squad is deeper than you think, with players recruited specifically because they have a strong mentality. And let's be real about a collapse. We're on pace for a massive points total. That gives us a buffer. This team doesn't have to be perfect. They've earned the right to have a small dip in form. A loss or a couple of draws won't derail this system this season, because the foundation is just so strong. The team you're scared of, the one that crumbles, doesn't put together a perfect Champions League group stage. It doesn't go on an 18 match unbeaten run. It doesn't concede only 14 goals in 22 games. You're waiting for a ghost to show up, but this team exercised those ghosts a long time ago.
A buffer can disappear in 2 weeks, Rich. That's all it takes. One bad week, a loss and a draw, while the rivals win twice and the gap is slashed. The pressure is cracked up to 10 and the whole narrative shifts. You've seen the team. See a team that earns a buffer. I see a team that has already dropped 21 potential points from 5 draws and 2 losses. They have been brilliant, but they're also shown they're not invincible. This title won't be won by 10 points. It will be won by 1 or 2, or even on a goal difference. In that fight, every moment of weakness, every past failure, and every ounce of pressure matters. And that is a test. For 3 years running, this team has ultimately failed. To ignore that isn't optimism, it's denial, Rich. So there you have it. The numbers tell a story of dominance, but history whispers a warning. The attack is lethal, but may be riding its luck. The defence is a fortress, but one that hasn't faced the final storm. And the mentality is even hardened by failure or haunted by it. It's time for the final verdicts, Rich. Give us your 30-second closing argument. Why will Arsenal win the league?
Des, I believe the evidence is overwhelming. We have the best defence in the league, built on a sustainable system, not luck. We have a clinical attack that consistently creates high-quality chances. We have a squad with the experience of 3 previous title races, turning that pain into motivation. And we have the points already on the board. This isn't about hope, it's about data. The numbers prove this is the best balanced Arsenal team in a generation. And they are on a clear path to lift the Premier League trophy. This form is the new reality. Des, your final thoughts. Why will it all go wrong?
I hope I'm truly wrong, because you know I love this team. I truly do. But I've been an Arsenal fan for too long. I've seen the warning signs, the overperformance in attack that has to correct itself eventually, the lingering fragility that has cost us so many points in the past, and the immense suffocation pressure of history that this club carries. The second half of the season is where titles are lost, not won. And until I see this team actually lift a trophy in May, the ghosts of collapses past are going to loom large. The numbers are a beautiful dream, but I'm afraid a familiar nightmare is waiting just around the corner. There you go, guys. Two experts, two compelling arguments from the same set of facts. One sees a champion in waiting, the other a tragedy in the making. Now we turn it over to you. What do you agree with, me or Statman Rich? His data or my optimism? The wise, cautious realism. There's the wise, cautious realism. Let us know what you think in the comments, and thanks for watching.